Good morning, Illini. I'm Andrea Flores, your UI7 News correspondent. I am here in Taylorville, Illinois, where just this past weekend an EF3 tornado passed through here, and as you can see behind me, the damage speaks for itself. Much in the tornado's path was destroyed. Along with asking for donations for their GoFundMe page, UIUC Ayuda also has a list of demands from the current administration, which includes an end to the criminalization of all refugees, respect for the refugees, and processing all refugee claims. There are other demands also listed here as well. While taking a look at results from across the country, the U.S. House of Representatives is now projected to be controlled by the Democrats. So this is a flip from the Republicans. While many races are still yet to be called, Democrats will likely have control over 218 seats. However, the U.S. Senate is now fully red. Switching gears to a very important race happening tonight in Illinois, the race to the governor's mansion in Springfield. This race has been an interesting one between four candidates, but with two frontrunners, Republican Governor Bruce Rauner and Democratic challenger J.B. Pritzker. Good morning, Illini. I'm Andrea Flores, your UI7 News correspondent. I am here in Taylorville, Illinois, where just this past weekend an EF3 tornado passed through here, and as you can see behind me, the damage speaks for itself. Much in the tornado's path was destroyed. Downed trees, shredded insulation, and lost toys are some of the remnants that litter Taylorville roads after Saturday's storm. Home of the tornadoes, this small city isn't a stranger to the occasional twister. But Fire Captain Ron Smith says something about this storm felt different.
We always seem to dodge a bullet, but for some reason everybody had the feeling something was going to happen that night, and we were all prepared. And like I said, everybody thought that for once, and nobody's ever thought of it that way before.
The fire department blew their alarms twice that evening, which they don't normally do. They believe it's made all the difference, as thankfully, no one died that night. The second alarm may have saved one woman and her daughter. Resident Margaret Chester is deaf, and her sister Sue Hogue describes that her family was very fortunate during that storm.
The first alarm went off, and then it stopped. And then so they thought, oh, it's just another false alarm. So my sister was downstairs, my niece was upstairs, and she heard it coming, she heard the roar. So she was able to go downstairs and get my sister and their pets and get them to the basement just in time.
One downside for the family, they just moved to Taylorville last year.
They really just got settled in here, so now they've got to start all over with that.
But despite this, Sue remains positive. Even though her sister's home has some damage, it's still structurally sound, which unfortunately, some of her neighbors weren't as lucky. City officials say that reconstruction and cleanup can take weeks, if not months. In Taylorville, for Good Morning Illini, I'm Andrea Flores.
Say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here.
Thursday night's message on the quad was definitely loud and clear, as students gathered in support of Central American refugees seeking asylum in the U.S. Dozens of students and community members joined UIUC Ayuda, holding signs and voicing their support through passionate poems and speeches. Member Carolina Kuhl shared her thoughts on why she believes some people don't want these refugees to be granted asylum.
A lot of it stems from ignorance and miscommunication. People don't know why people are migrating to the border, and they automatically assume that they're criminals. Like, they're not criminals, they're families and children seeking a better life, trying to escape.
Say it loud, say it clear, refugees are welcome here.
Along with asking for donations for their GoFundMe page, UIUC Ayuda also has a list of demands from the current administration, which includes an end to the criminalization of all refugees, respect for the refugees, and processing all refugee claims. There are other demands also listed here as well. Another group asking for donations to send to the border is Champaign-Urbana's chapter of the Party of Socialism and Liberation, which held a presentation on the U.S.'s history of intervention in Latin America, which candidate David Arizaga believes contributes to today's crisis and people's beliefs on the refugees themselves.
It's that destabilization of really trying to take away Central Americans' sovereignty and their rights to life in favor of U.S. interests is why I believe why U.S. imperialism has, kind of crafted and really created these crises that we're seeing.
As for how politicians refer to the situation, one university professor believes that also contributes to how people perceive the caravan.
Even the use of the word caravan, that's a concept that it was used by the Republican Party, and it colors the situation almost like in some kind of assault move, right?
But regardless of how the public thinks about these refugees, they're already arriving at the border, and only time will tell how the Trump administration will handle it. In Urbana, I'm Andrea Flores, UI7 News.
In the last 6 years, the Illini Veterans Memorial 5K has raised $50,000, and by the end of today's race, they hope to have raised $60,000.
People saw it as their civic duty and saw it as really important to either support the current administration or go against the current administration. So both sides were really encouraged to stand by what they believe in and actually, make their voices heard. Good morning, Illini. I'm Andrea Flores, your UI7 News correspondent with your campus and Champaign-Urbana news. But first, we have some national breaking news for you. The Senate just voted 51-49 in favor of Judge Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court Justice nomination. Don't have a car, need a ride to the midterm polls? No problem. Uber is offering discounted rides to polling locations. With reduced voting sites from previous years, some people will have to travel further than others. Uber wanted to make sure that the millions of Americans voting didn't have to worry about travel inconveniences. They will offer $10 rides to polling places in U.S. territories. A poll button in the Uber app will pinpoint nearby voting sites that prompt users to ride with the promotional code. Uber is hoping to help reduce costs across the U.S. and promote voting. According to a press release from the Attorney General Lisa Madigan's office, the lawsuit alleges that the company, Suburban Express, harassed and discriminated against their customers. We do have some updated numbers for you tonight on the House of Representatives. So according to CNN, 155 seats have been secured for the Democrats, leaving them to keep the House as opposed to the 153 seats on the Republican side. 40 seats in the Senate are for the Democrats after tonight's midterm elections, which polls are still closing in the West, and there are 50 seats that the Republicans have secured in the Senate. So we've got all this up-to-date stuff coming in still tonight. Pretty surprising to see how many people weren't sure who was running for governor, especially considering our current governor is running for governor. That's all for this morning. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Andrea Flores. Have a great day, Chicago.